Hi, welcome back to the channel. So this is a bit of an impromptu video today. Wasn't planning to make a video today, but we've just got some information through from the Marine Accident Investigation Branch, MAIB, which is like the UK's NTSB if you're from the States. It's an interim report on the incident that happened with the Solong and Stena Immaculate. I'm going to go through it and I'm going to show you some information on the screen so you can follow. We're going to read through what they've said so far. Now, it's important. Now, it just says the interim report on the investigation of the collision between the container ship Solong and the oil chemical tanker Stena Immaculate, resulting in one fatality, 14 nautical miles northeast of Spurn Head at the entrance to the Humber Estuary in England on the 10th of March 2025. Now, it's important to note, this is what they're saying, that the information contained in this interim report is based on the various aspects of the investigation completed to date, and readers are cautioned that there is a possibility of new evidence may become available that might alter the circumstances as depicted in this report. They're just saying it's not finalised, so just bear that in mind. It briefly goes through what happened on the 27th of February 2025, the USA registered oil chemical tanker Stena Immaculate departed from Greece with a cargo of 220,000 barrels of aviation fuel on board. The tanker was bound for Killingholme in England and was expected to berth on the 11th of March. The Portugal registered container ship Solong was engaged in fixed trade in the North Sea, sailing between Rotterdam, Grangemouth and Hull. And on the 10th of March, its containerized cargo included various products, including some designated as dangerous goods. It doesn't give any further information on what dangerous goods they were carrying. It says, as Stena Immaculate approached the Humber Estuary on the 9th of March, this is the day before the incident, the officer of the watch contacted the Associate British Ports Vessel Traffic Services Humber and was advised to proceed to anchor at a position 5 miles to the north of the Humber light float and 2 miles clear of any pipeline. At about 18:30 hours UTC, that would be, the Stena Immaculate's master manoeuvred the vessel as directed to a position north of ABP Humber's area of responsibility where it anchored. Now, this is the area that we spoke so much about at the time because it wasn't marked on any of the charts as an anchorage area. But the Humber authorities were using it as such, and it was an area of their responsibility, as it's mentioned in this article here, in this report. By 2000 hours on the 9th of March, Solong had departed from Grangemouth in Scotland, disembarked the pilot, and commenced its passage to Rotterdam, the Netherlands. Solong's planned passage followed a route the vessel had used in the past. The master remained on watch until shortly before 2300 hours, then handed over watch to the second officer and retired to bed. Now, in the initial videos, we talked about the watch schedules on vessels, not yachts, on vessels, and they said that generally there is two types of watch methods on civilian vessels, and that one of them is the 4 on 4 off. And the other one is a 6 on 6 off. And it looks like, based on this, that they were doing 2 people 6 on 6 off. But weirdly, or unusually, should I say, they seem to be doing it 2300 hours to 0700 hours for some reason. It would normally be 1200 hours to 600 hours, but maybe it was to do with fatigue. I don't know. Maybe the captain's probably been, the captain's on his watch. So they're saying that the captain was on watch from probably up until 2300 hours. So he was probably working all day as well. So then he had, maybe they switched over early. So the second officer was rested and then he could take over the watch during the night. At approximately 01:30 hours on the 10th of March, Solong passed the Longston lighthouse off the northeast coast of England and altered course onto a heading of approximately 150 degrees. Solong maintained this course except for a slight deviation at 03:45 hours. So the vessel put itself on that 150 degree heading, and it was on that pretty much right up until the collision. At 0700 hour, Solong's master returned to the bridge and took over the watch as the lone watchkeeper. So like I said, a bit unusual that they're doing this 2300 to 0700 hours. Anyway, the visibility in the area of the Humber light float was reported to be patchy and varying between 0.25 nautical miles, quarter of a mile, and 2 nautical miles. Now that's interesting in itself, isn't it? So it's patchy, but it's very low. Normally you can see much further than that. This one single sentence of this report is the one that will leave us with the most questions, and is the most serious of everything that we're going to read here. Neither Solong nor Stena Immaculate had a dedicated lookout on the bridge. At 0947, Solong collided with the anchored Stena Immaculate's port side on a heading of 150 degrees and speed over ground of approximately 16 knots. Able seaman Mark Panier, one of Solong's crew, was reported to be in the forecastle area at the time of the collision, so he was right up at the bow area.
Lord, help us, Lord. Bangga kami.
The collision breached Stena Immaculate's number 7 port cargo tank, releasing aviation fuel into the sea and onto the bow of Solong. This is what I hypothesized in a previous video when we were looking at the footage of the Solong being towed to Aberdeen. I said that it looks like the fuel had poured out onto the bow of the vessel and then ignited. The aviation fuel was ignited by the heat generated by the force of the collision, and the resulting fire ignited the contents and containers carrying on board Solong. The crews of both Solong and Stena Immaculate took immediate action to address the evolving situation, attempts by Stena Immaculate's crew to fight the fire, and for Solong's crew to locate the missing able seamen were hampered by the severity of the fire. Both Stena Immaculate and Solong's crew abandoned to lifeboats and were subsequently recovered by the efforts of local boats and emergency responders, coordinated by His Majesty's Coast Guard. Able seaman Mark Panier was not found and is believed to have died in the accident. Both Solong and Stena Immaculate are currently undergoing salvage operations, and an evaluation of the nature and extent of pollution from both vessels is in progress. The MAIB's investigation into the accident is ongoing. The investigation will encompass the navigation of watchkeeping practices on board both vessels, manning and fatigue management, the condition and maintenance of the vessels involved, the use of the offshore area as an anchorage for vessels waiting to enter the Humber estuary, and the environmental condition at the time. So that's interesting that it says they're going to investigate the use of the offshore area as an anchorage for vessels waiting to enter the Humber estuary. So like I said, it wasn't listed as an anchorage area. There are a number of anchorage areas in that area, but this was not one of them. It wasn't on any chart, at least, although it was appeared to have been used as that. There was 10 other vessels in that area at the time. It says the report of the investigation will be drafted and will be distributed by stakeholders for a 30-day consultation period in due course. So that's pretty much the end of the report. They've released some still images from the CCTV footage on board the Stena Immaculate, which shows the moment of impact. I mean, they probably will release the video footage eventually, but you can see here the first image shows the bow of Stena Immaculate, and then you see the bow of the Solong just entering the picture before it actually does any damage. And then in image 2, you can see the hull of the Solong penetrating the side of the hull of the Stena Immaculate, and you can see a small area of fire there, and then you can see that the fuel is already spread to the bow on image number 3, and you can see that it's already spread onto the bow there, and then the last image shows the massive fireball just starting. And these are just 4 frames, and you can see how fast that has turned into a massive blaze. So that poor chap, Mr. Panier, on the bow of the Solong didn't stand a chance, did he? And then I'll put this on screen for you. This vessel particulars is just basically telling you information about the vessel and the voyage particulars and marine casualty information. And that's it. That's everything we've got so far. That's the interim report. You know, this is just to put out an update for all those who are interested to give out the initial findings. Like they said in the report, that there's still, readers are cautioned that there is still the possibility of new evidence may become available that might alter the circumstances as depicted in this report. So it's certainly not the end of the report or the final version of events, but it just seems to be what they've found so far. Anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll talk about it there, obviously, and we'll probably dissect this more because this has just come in. This has just been released. We'll dissect this more, and then we'll do something in the next video, probably tomorrow. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.